Some crimes are never solved. Some mysteries remain buried in the dark. But what if the truth is still out there, waiting to be uncovered? Welcome to Crime Files. Let's uncover the truth together.
The dark secret of Anthony's house. The weather was hot and humid. The midday sun filtered through the palm trees, casting small, flickering shadows on the lawn of the Anthony family's home. Caylee Anthony, a 2-year-old girl with chestnut-colored hair and bright eyes, sat on the living room rug playing with her favorite doll, Lady. Her childish laughter filled the house. But no one knew that this would be the last time her voice was ever heard. Caylee Anthony, her 22-year-old mother, sat on the couch, her fingers gliding over the screen of her mobile phone. She was busy texting her friends, scrolling through plans for nighttime parties, with a faint smile on her lips. In the kitchen, Cindy Anthony, Caylee's grandmother, was preparing lunch. The father of the family, George Anthony, sat on the porch, staring into a distant, unknown point. But that evening, something happened. Caylee disappeared. Cindy Anthony stood in the kitchen, staring at the clock on the wall. It had been 30 days since she had last seen Caylee. Every time she asked her daughter about her, she received vague answers. Caylee is with her nanny, Zenaida Fernandez Gonzalez. Don't worry, she's fine. But every time Cindy asked to see Zenaida, Casey came up with an excuse. That night, Cindy could no longer stay silent. When they found Casey's car in a parking lot and opened the door, a strong, overwhelming odor escaped from inside. Terrified, Cindy grabbed the phone and called 911. Her voice trembled. My granddaughter has been missing for 30 days, and my daughter is lying about it. Her car smells like a dead body. The police arrived at the Anthony home. But the truth they were about to uncover was nothing anyone had expected. Caylee Anthony sat calmly in the interrogation chair, showing no signs of stress. Her eyes were fixed on the officers, but there was no anxiety in her demeanor. It was as if she were discussing a simple missing person case, not the disappearance of her own daughter. When the police asked her to explain Caylee's disappearance, her lies began to unfold, one after another. A nanny named Zenaida Fernandez Gonzalez kidnapped Caylee. I work at Universal Studios, but the police found no evidence that Zenaida even existed. When officers asked Casey to take them to her workplace at Universal Studios, she confidently agreed. But when they arrived, she walked around for a few minutes before finally stopping and letting out a nervous laugh. Okay, I lied. The police realized that something far darker was hidden within this case. 11. December 2008, 5 months later. After a heavy rain, the ground was still wet. Near the Anthony home, a utility worker who had come to repair a sewer line spotted a plastic bag among the trees, one that emitted a strong, foul odor. When the police opened the bag, everyone held their breath. A small child's skull lay inside, with duct tape covering the mouth and nose. Tiny pieces of children's clothing were buried in the mud. And beside the fragile bones lay Lady, the beloved doll. The coroner confirmed that the remains belonged to Caylee Anthony, but the cause of death was declared undetermined. However, one thing was clear: this was not a natural death. May 2011, 3 years after Caylee's death. The courtroom was filled with reporters, lawyers, and spectators. Everyone was waiting to hear the truth. The prosecutors firmly stated, Caylee Anthony used chloroform to knock her daughter unconscious, then suffocated her with duct tape. She wanted to be free, without the responsibility of motherhood, without any interference. But the defense attorneys told a different story. Caylee drowned in the family's pool, and Casey, fearing her family's reaction, hid the body. It was claimed that Casey's father, George Anthony, had abused his daughter for years, forcing her to lie. George Anthony strongly denied these accusations. In the courtroom, a heavy silence filled the air. Caylee Anthony, with a cold expression, waited. The judge declared, Caylee Anthony is acquitted of first-degree murder, child abuse, and manslaughter. She is only convicted of lying to the police. People outside the courtroom shouted, "Justice was not served! Justice was not served!" The jury was unable to prove first-degree murder due to the lack of conclusive evidence. However, public opinion regarded Casey as the killer. Life in the shadow of accusation. After her release, Caylee Anthony disappeared. Years later, reports emerged indicating that she was living in Florida. However, she would forever remain in the shadow of this case. And still, one question remains unanswered. Did Caylee really drown in an accident? Or did her mother, in search of freedom, sacrifice her daughter?
Cases remain unsolved, but the truth is never buried forever. Don't forget to subscribe. The next case might be even darker.